Hello everyone, welcome. Ashlee here from Shades of Love, obviously. If you are new here, welcome. If you are returning, welcome back. I hope you're all subscribed because that would be fantastic. But if not, I'll give you a second to go ahead and subscribe right now. Go ahead. Okay, now that you've subscribed, you can ring the notification bell because I'm told that if you do that, then you get notified when I upload the next chapter. So go ahead and do that. Okay, done? Great. Okay, so now that you've subscribed and you've hit the notification bell, I will let you know that this is adult content for this story that we are currently on. It's a romance novel. So just forewarning right there. And what else? I don't know what else. I hope you're doing well, because, if you're not, send me a message. Let me know. Because I think it's good that if we're all there for each other, if we're not doing well, we need someone to go to. So I'll be that person for you. If you like what you see and you like what you hear, let me know down below. Or you can just give me a thumbs up, either way. Or just do both, because both would be amazing. But let me know in the comments below how you think the story is going. Where you want me to take the next story, because I'm working on another one. I'll give you a little heads up on Friday. But anyway, or an idea of what I'll give you a sneak peek at the next story. But anyway, that's not what you're here. You're actually here to continue this story or to start it. But I'll have a playlist, I think. Anyway, well, that's a long way down the road. I will go ahead and get on with the story. So just stay tuned and then let me know when you're done how everything's going and if you like it. And if you think it's really crappy, or if you like the character or you're hating one character, whatever, just let me know. Anyway, stay tuned. Keep watching. Here's the chapter. Chapter 4, School's Out, by Mia. Miss Thomas. She leaned against the office door with a smile on her face. Let the bitch of a secretary talk. She was a grown woman, and if she wanted to have some fun on the side, she damn well was going to. Her husband wasn't as available to her in the way she needed like Mr. Cooper was. He wasn't around as much or as often because he was working so much. She was okay with that. She loved him she just loved him a lot and with all her heart. But a girl needed to have a little fun and receive a little pleasure as well. So she allowed herself to let go at work, to surrender to Mr. Cooper, because he was the only one who encouraged her to be true to who she was. She looked at the secretary and her smile grew. The woman's face was a deep shade of crimson. Oh, she must look well fucked. That thought made her want to burst out laughing. Good afternoon, Mrs. Phillips, she greeted the older woman kindly, but only received a sour face in return. Okay, then. She walked past the woman and exited the main office, heading to her classroom at the end of the hallway. Her students were waiting for her when she walked in. Hello, class, she smiled at them. She loved teaching. It was a rewarding job. She fell in love with each of her students every year, watching their faces light up when they would learn something new or when a project that they had been working on was finally completed. They were so proud of all of their accomplishments, and she was proud of them. Hello, Miss Thomas, they greeted her in return, their bright smiles lighting up their faces, their eyes shining. They made coming to work each and every day a pleasure. Now that recess is over, do you all remember what we do next? The students all raised their hand, eager to answer her question, and she pointed to one of them and he replied, Silent reading, Miss Thomas. That's correct. Please pull out your library books and find your reading spot. She set the timer for 30 minutes, the time limit that she set for them. Quiet reading time was the time of the day that she set aside to help the students wind down from their activities, calm their brains. Whether it was from phys ed or recess, it was vital for them to have time to decompress so that their minds were open when it came time for the next lesson. As they were reading, she sat down to grade their math quizzes. After she had checked a few of the papers, her mind wandered to the evening ahead, hoping her husband would be home so she could spend some time with him. Yes, if anyone knew what she did during the day at work with her boss, they wouldn't believe her to be so in love with her husband. Happily married women who were in love with their husbands didn't cheat on them. They didn't spend a good chunk of their day thinking about another man. That man's hands wandering up and down their body and his lips on hers. No, those people didn't understand, however, that she needed the extra attention. Doubt her love all you want, but every person should have moments when they felt desired, moments when they felt loved, and they felt like they were a priority. With her husband working so much, then hanging out with friends, it didn't leave her with the impression that she was a priority to him. No, she wasn't using that as an excuse, but it was all she had to explain why she was so infatuated with the attention that was shown to her from her boss. What a cliche she had become, a married woman in love with her husband by having a secret or not so secret affair with her married boss. Staff talked. She heard what they said about her. Fellow teachers hated her for the special attention she received from Mr. Cooper. They were malicious and vicious, some even going so far as to leave threatening notes in her mailbox telling her that they were going to let her husband know what she was doing behind his back. That last thing that she needed or wanted was to hurt him. He didn't deserve that hurt, but she just couldn't help herself. Mr. Cooper was a sexy man, tall with messy hair that often fell just over his brow, well-defined muscular chest, washboard abs that spoke of hours in the gym. She didn't know how he found the time. All in all, he was a dream man, and she was his chosen gal for 3 years now. She shook her head to refocus. She needed to finish these papers, so she didn't have to take them home with her to work on them there. She hated taking work home and tried to complete as much as possible at work so she could keep her professional life and personal life separate. She worked diligently for the remaining 15 minutes until the timer buzzed, indicating the silent reading time was over. She put the papers to the side and spoke to the class. Okay, boys and girls, everyone back to your desks. Put away your books. It's time for social studies. The students scrambled to their feet and rushed to their desk in a hurry to move on with their day. They were bright kids. They knew that as soon as they were finished with this subject, it would be journal time and then last recess before finishing off the day. And she didn't blame them. She was ready for the day to be over too. She dove into the lesson with her students, who were all hungry for knowledge, and in no time at all, it was time for them to head off to phys ed. She instructed them all to line up on their numbers at the classroom door, and her 6th grade helper showed up just in time to lead them off to gym. While they were off to their special, she decided to go to the staff lounge to work on some of her lesson plans since it had been an inviting atmosphere. As she approached the door, she overheard a few of the teachers speaking. She crept closer, remaining quiet and not ready to make her presence known. They were talking about her. The first teacher said, "Well, Mrs. Phillips called down to my classroom earlier and told me she heard them making all kinds of noises in his office. Can you believe her? Married and sleeping with the principal during school hours?" The second teacher, "Oh, that's nothing. Last week I saw him leaving her classroom when the kids were all coming in from recess. He was in there with her the whole time, with the door closed." And the first teacher spoke again. "Someone really should tell her husband." And then an assistant spoke. "You two should shut up." You do remember that he's married too, right? She isn't the only one sleeping around behind her spouse's back. If you're going to tell her husband, you should tell his wife too. The first teacher, why'd we do that? The assistant spoke again. Because if you're willing to inform her husband and make it known and possibly be the one to spill the beans and ruin their marriage, isn't it only fair that you do the same thing to him? He's just as guilty as she is. And the second teacher spoke. But she has been doing this since she started working here at this school. Everyone knows what the two of them are doing. And the assistant spoke up. Ha, you just said it. The two of them. Both of them are married. Yet they are both sleeping with one another behind their spouse's back. I think that you two are just jealous. That's why you hate her. You both know that she's gorgeous and you want him for yourselves. Belle had heard enough. She didn't want to listen any longer. She knew what they thought of her, but hearing this kind of thing was still just, it was upsetting. She decided to put an end to it. Well, the conversation. She turned the corner and walked into the lounge. The three women all looked up at her. Two of them had hatred and envy in their eyes. The other was just a blank stare. She knew that the assistant didn't hate her, but she didn't like her either. She was mostly just neutral. She just kept to herself. She heard the rumors that the other two women spoke about her behind her back. But this was the first time that she had heard firsthand what they said. She didn't like hearing it. But it wasn't enough to make her stop, and it didn't bother her. She knew they were mostly all just talk. Neither of them, actually, none of the people at the school had the guts to tell her husband or Carter's wife. She had nothing to worry about. Wait until she told him what she had overheard. She was able to tell him what was said to her before, but this time was different. She would be able to tell him exactly what was being said because she heard it with her own ears. Hello, ladies. How's your day going? She greeted them. They were two-faced enough to pretend nothing was wrong and greeted her back, asking how she was. Oh, fine. Busy as usual. My students are eager to learn. They aren't the only ones eager for something. She ignored the jab, which was said under the breath of one of the women. The catty and childish behavior didn't only exist among kids at the school. Do you ladies have any plans tonight? She wanted to encourage communication. It was the way that she was. Not really, I guess. I'll be doing the usual, the assistant answered. She was a young girl, single, fresh out of college. She was sweet, a bit shy, but kept to herself. Yeah, me and my husband will be heading out of town for a long weekend, so I will have a sub tomorrow, the first teacher said. The second one merely said, no plans. What about you? The assistant asked. Belle smiled. I placed an order for dinner to be delivered to my husband and me tonight. It will be a much-needed quiet night in. The two older women, the teachers, both rolled their eyes, but the assistant smiled. That'll be nice, the young woman said. She was about to say something in reply, but at that moment, Mr. Cooper walked in, and he froze for a moment in the doorway, taking in the gathering in the room before walking over to the counter to pour a cup of coffee for himself. He turned, leaned against the counter to take a sip of the brew before saying hello to the woman. He gave her a meaningful look that she hoped the other woman in the room didn't catch, but no luck. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw all of them give her an evil look. She smiled at Carter and stood up, deciding that she'd just go work in her classroom. Leaving so soon, Miss Thomas? He asked her. Yeah, I need to finish up my lesson plans for next month. Oh, good thinking, he nodded at her. You have plans tonight? She looked at the other women nervously before answering him. Yeah, a quiet dinner with my husband. He winked at her. Enjoy your evening then. Thank you, she replied, then left the room. A moment later, he followed her out. Belle, wait a moment. She stopped in the middle of the hall and waited for him to catch up with her. Did they say something to you? She laughed. Oh, no, not to me. But I did hear them talking about me. They really hate me. He chuckled. Jealousy is terrible. Yeah, it is. He leaned in to whisper in her ear. Think of me tonight. His breath caused a trickle of excitement to travel down her body to her toes, tickling her and causing her desire for him to grow. Damn, she wanted him again. She looked up into his eyes and said, I always do. Tease, he laughed. Enjoy the evening with Mrs. Cooper, she told him. Oh, I will. She gave a small wave and walked the rest of the way to her classroom, leaving him standing in the hall, watching her. Thank you for watching. For more videos like this, like, subscribe, and leave a thumbs up. Hit the notification bell so you can get notified when I upload the next chapter. Remember, today was just one chapter of your story.